If you lose your license, take all the shock absorbers off your car. Then you won't be driving on a suspension. Hey guys, welcome to Oxman Garage, and on this episode of Project Triple Black, 98 Mustang, Cobra, Coyote swap, we're going to be doing drivetrain and suspension. So we're going to button up the drivetrain. We're going to be putting the Ford Racing clutches in the rear differential. We got the gasket. We have the axle bearings and seals, and we're going to be putting the drive shaft on. So we're going to button up the drivetrain, and then we're going to go into the suspension. So everything you see here is from UPR. We've got the front suspension components here, minus these struts there. We have the UPR lower A arms. We have the Viking springs and the Coilover kit, all from UPR. And then we've got the rear. So we have the lower arms and the upper arms that go to the differential. We got the spherical bushings on all of them. And we got the Coilover kit as well. And then if you notice in my previous episode, I had those rusty camber plates. I decided just to go with the UPR billet aluminum camber plates. So I had to go with those. And then I got their bump steer kit as well. So we're going to be putting all this on in this episode. But the first thing we're going to be doing, we're going to be using this dolly right here. And if you notice in the previous episode, I used this dolly. I had the K-member and the engine and transmission rested on that guy. If you're interested in learning how to build something like that, check out my videos in the how-to section playlist. I'll show you how to build something like that. But I'm taking that dolly, I'm going to put it right under the solid axle here, just to rest it on there, so I can loosen all of the suspension components back here. I can rest it on there, and I can change out those clutches, do the seals and the bearings. So stay tuned, we'll get started. Do some suspension work and some drivetrain. Alright, so we got the booty out of the car, or the rear end, mind you. This is a 31 spline Ford Racing limited slip, and it didn't have a tag on the cover, so I didn't know what gear it was. But if you're ever wondering how to check to see what gear you have in your car, there should always be a part number on the outside, and here it is right here. This is an 8.8 differential with a 373 gear. So looks to be in good shape. Previous owner had some polyurethane bushings on the differential mount up here. I got to press this out, and I'm using the UPR spherical bushing here. And then the next thing I got to do is I got to take these shock absorber mounts off and put the UPR one on there as well. But yeah, we got it out. Next step is we're just going to do the bushings and the mounts, and then we're going to put the clutches on. put these in the freezer overnight. Put a little anti-seize on there. Alright, and then we'll put some thread locker on there. Alright, so I got the spherical bushings on. Just make sure you put Loctite on there. And you use pliers or a plumber's wrench, whatever, to tighten that up. Okay, so now I'm putting the UPR mounts on for the back shock assembly. If you're going to be putting these on right here, this bolt right here really won't fit in that hole, so you got to take a file and just open that up a little bit. Alright, so I got the shock mount installed on both sides. Spherical bushings are done. Now I'm replacing the differential clutch pack. This is Ford Racing part number M-4700-C. This clutch pack is the one with the carbon fiber clutches on them. These are a little bit better for performance. I think they sell another one. I don't know what the part number is, but it's a little bit cheaper. This was 150 bucks shipped to my door. You want to make sure you get the friction modifier, and then I'm using 75W140. This is a full synthetic, so it's perfect for limited slip. So yeah, I'm gonna get started on that now. Alright, so I got the clutch back and spider gears out, and everything looks really good. I didn't even need to buy a brand new kit because these the clutches on here are really good shape. So, but I didn't know that. I didn't know what shape they're in, so I figured just buy a new clutch back kit and get it done with. So now I'm gonna put everything back in. Alright, so I got the clutches soaking in the Motorcraft friction modifier. Alright, let that sit for 15 minutes or so. And while I'm waiting, just gonna start scraping off the old gasket material. So, gonna have fun doing that. Alright, so I just pulled the seal and bearing out of one side. The bearing didn't stand a chance. Make sure you're using the right tools. This is a bearing puller and slide hammer. I rented this at Advanced Auto Parts. So make sure you're using the right tool. And do the other side and put a new bearing and seal on. Alright, so we got a new bearing and new seal. When you're putting this in, you want to use like a socket or something. And you're just going to tap it on the outside until it goes past the little line in there. And then put your seal on. You just want to make sure it's flush. Make sure you lubricate the bearing on the outside. Alright, so we got the clutch pack ready to go. And the clutches have been soaking in the friction modifier for over 15 minutes, which smells completely terrible. So you want to put them in an orientation. So here's the diagram right here, and they're going to be mirroring each other on both sides. And basically at the end you have this thin metal shim, and then it's going to be clutch, and this is like a gear, clutch, gear, gear, clutch, gear, and then the spider gear goes in front of all of them, and you just basically slide them all together, put them in the back like that, and then you're just going to put it inside, kind of finesse it in there, and then install it like that. So almost done. Alright, so I got the S-spring in there. What you want to do is you want to put your spring in a vise, and you want to compress this down and use a needle nose pliers to keep the spring compressed, and you're basically going to put it in just like that, and then use a large hammer and tap it in there, and that's how you put that sucker in. Alright, so we're all wrapped up with the differential. The only thing I'm waiting on is the bolts. These are the ones that came with the car, and someone hacked off the tip, and I went to try and put it on there and it just does not fit. So just waiting on bolts, put the gasket on, the cover, diff is done. So now at the passenger side A-arm on. Before you put these on, you wanna grease the bushings with they said a non-petroleum whatever kind of grease on there, and then make sure you're matching up these sleeves, because one is longer than the other. The longer one goes towards the rear and the shorter one's towards the front. Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to put the UPR coilover kit on the stock strut in the front. So the first thing you want to do is you want to knock the dust cap off. Use like a chisel or something. You just want to knock it off right there. So you want to put your threaded sleeve over in this little notch right here. It's going to go fit right over here. So it's going to slide on right there. Okay, you want to put some anti-seize on where this collar is going to twist, because you don't want it to bind. So your anti-seize is going to go on there. Okay, so if you bought the bearing thrust kit, you want to put the shim, the bearing, and then the shim, and make sure you put some grease on there. Okay, so then this is going to go on the bottom. That. Then you're going to put your spring. Just like that. Okay, so then next, you're going to put your cap. Okay, that's going to go on top. Just like that. And then the very top comes with a thrust bearing too. So it's going to be shim, bearing, shim. Make sure you put grease on there. Goes on the top. And this cap right here goes on that. And then just like that. So then if you're using, should be using a caster camber plate on top. You want to put your spacer on top of that. And then that's all of it together. Alright, so I got the struts and the coilover kit installed in the car. And all these bolts back here are completely tightened. Remember, if you're going to tighten those AR bushing bolts, you want to put pressure on the suspension before you tighten those down. And then you're going to tighten this guy up here. So, got all those. Front end's done. I'm going to start to the back. Alright, it's going to show you how to put on the rear coilover kit for the rear shock. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get the dust sleeve off. If this is metal, usually it's in 4 places where you want to grind these spot welds off. If it's plastic, you're just going to cut up to the top, take it off. And if the metal top right here, you just want to cut it down the middle here, and then get some pliers and pry it off the bar right there. Okay, so once you get that off, then you want to take your sleeve. You want to put some anti-seize on the threads here. You want to take your O-ring, put just like a light coating of oil on it, because you're going to be sliding this over the shock. So then you're going to put your collared sleeve on. You just want to slide it all the way down. And if you got the anti-thrust bearing kit, you want to put some grease on there. And you want to slide that on. Then you want to take your spring. Okay, and if you have anti-seize all over your hands, that's okay too. You're going to slide the top cap on. Okay, and then you just want to adjust your spring so it's up here. And then you're going to take your rubber bushing, put it on top right there. And then there you go. And that's going to go in the car just like that. So you just want to adjust the bottom here and bring it up so that the spring seats on the top there. All right, so I got my bolts in the mail for the diff cover. If you're looking for the bolt size, these are 5/16-18, and this bolt is 1 inch. So I got those in there. And if you're going to be using this type of diff cover, which is pretty common on the internet for a replacement, you want to torque these down to 25 foot-pounds on the bolts here. And you're going to crisscross pattern, and I'll show a diagram of that torque sequence. And then the load nut right here, that's going to get torqued down to 10 foot-pounds, and then you're going to torque this lock nut here at 30 foot-pounds. So all done with this, start putting it in the car. All right, so we got the diff in the car. The upper and lower arms are in, and everything is tightened down, torqued to spec. I just put like 1.5 inches on the spring there, so we'll see what the ride height looks like with that. We got the drive shaft is all bolted in, looking good. I took one of the wheels and bolted the wheels on. I have no rubbing on the wheels, so put the brake rotor in there. So if you spin it, I got no rubbing, and these are 295/35/18s. Okay, and then in the front, everything is on there, torqued it down. The steering rack is installed. We got the bump steer kit. Just have to do a final alignment later on. But I'm going to put wheels on this, and I'm going to roll it out the garage. Alright guys, she is off the lift. And look at this. I just can't believe it's out of the garage. I think it's been about 1.5 years since this thing's been out of my garage. So looking really good. The front coilovers, I can fit a fist in here, so I gotta drop that. But man, does this look great. I cannot wait to get this thing running. It's nice day in Wisconsin today. It's like 80 degrees in April. It doesn't happen. But yeah, she's out of the garage, and I'm excited to get this thing done. If you guys like what you see in this video today, please like and subscribe. If you have any comments, comment below. I'm always checking for comments. If you guys got anything, let me know. This is Josh with Oxman Garage.